climate change and the coronavirus pandemic, and a few took parting shots at Donald Trump. World leaders welcomed into their ranks the new U.S. president, noting their most pressing problems, including COVID-19, climate change requiring multilateral cooperation, an approach his predecessor Donald Trump had ridiculed. Calling it a significant day for the American people, French President Emmanuel Macron tweeted that his country was together with them. And we got messages from European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who is due to become the first world leader to speak over the phone with the president today. And there were messages from Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Fresh off his inauguration, President Biden began his term with executive orders on measures ranging from curbing the coronavirus pandemic to addressing racial inequality, many of which roll back measures enacted by former President Trump's administration. Joe Biden signed an executive order requiring masks and social distancing in all federal buildings, on all federal lands, and by all federal employees and contractors. Also launched the 100 days masking challenge. He has also said that he is going to rejoin the World Health Organization, reversing the Trump administration withdrawal from the international body last year to coordinate the international response to the pandemic. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's leading infectious disease expert, will attend a World Health Organization executive board meeting this week as a response to the economic hardship brought on by the pandemic. Joe Biden's team says he will ask the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to extend the federal eviction ban, which is set to expire at the end of this month, until the 31st of January. He has also asked the Department of Education to extend the pause on student loan payments until the 30th of September. He signed a slew of executive orders aimed at undoing the Trump administration's immigration policies, including an order to preserve DACA, which allows undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children to stay in the country. Joe Biden plans to rejoin the Paris Agreement more than 3 years after Trump announced that the U.S. would no longer participate in the agreement formed to coordinate the global response to climate change. And as he promised, President Joe Biden spent the first day of his term there walking back Donald Trump's legacy and establishing a new order through a flurry of executive actions. He signed 17 in total yesterday, more than half of which reversed a Trump-era policy. President Joe Biden will launch an array of initiatives today to rein in the raging coronavirus pandemic. He's going to sign 10 executive orders to fight the pandemic, including ordering the use of disaster funds to help reopen schools and mandating the wearing of protective masks on planes and buses. Shortly after taking office yesterday, he asked for the resignation of Peter Robb, the controversial general counsel of the National Labor Relations Board. After he refused to resign, President Joe Biden fired him. 2 Florida men, including a self-described organizer for the Proud Boys, a far-right extremist group, were arrested yesterday on charges of taking part in the siege of the U.S. Capitol earlier this month. A single Powerball ticket sold in Maryland is the winner of an estimated $731.1 million jackpot, the first to get the top prize in months. The Powerball jackpot, the 5th largest U.S. lottery jackpot ever, came only a day after nobody won the even larger Mega Millions prize, which now stands at $970 million. The Department of Homeland Security is pausing deportations for 100 days. And in his first order after taking the oath of his office yesterday, President Joe Biden removed the travel ban on some Muslim and African nations placed by his predecessor. Iran has hailed Donald Trump's departure as the final day of a tyrant, saying it was now up to Joe Biden's new administration to forge peace. Twin suicide bombings ripped through a busy market in the Iraqi capital this morning, killing at least 28 people and wounding 73 others. The rare suicide bombing attack hit the Bab al-Sharqi commercial area in central Baghdad. The UN Special Envoy for Syria announced that the next round of talks towards revising the war-battered country's constitution will start in Geneva on the 25th of this month. Protesters who broke a coronavirus curfew to continue riots for a 5th night have been warned by Tunisia's prime minister to stop their violence. At 3,506, the UAE is reporting its highest number of daily coronavirus cases yet. Dubai has suspended non-essential surgery for a month and live entertainment in hotels and restaurants until further notice as coronavirus infections surge. Britain's Foreign Secretary in the Sudanese capital today to discuss bilateral relations and tensions along the border with Ethiopia. Dominic Raab, who arrived in Khartoum late last night, was expected to meet with General Burhan, head of Sudan's ruling Sovereign Council. And Britain is resisting a European Union demand that it grant full diplomatic status to the bloc's ambassador in London, causing a row between the recently divorced parties that spilled out into the open today. European Union leaders will today seek to address the coronavirus pandemic's mounting challenge. Top US and UK defense officials, meanwhile, signed an agreement this week to merge some military forces this year to form a combined carrier strike group. And Ireland's St. Patrick's Day parade in Dublin has been cancelled for the second year running as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Angela Merkel and Germany's 16 state governors decided to extend the country's lockdown by 2 weeks until the 14th of February. And at least 3 people died when an explosion ripped through a building in the center of Madrid. A further 8 people were injured in that blast also. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the World News on Radio Caravan, and China said it wanted to cooperate with President Joe Biden's new administration while announcing sanctions against lying and cheating outgoing State Secretary Mike Pompeo and 27 other top officials under Donald Trump. China congratulated President Joe Biden on his inauguration and called for a reset in relations between Beijing and Washington. Beijing is touting a state program that gives Taiwanese in China priority for COVID-19 vaccines, prompting concern within Taiwan's government, which sees it as the latest Chinese tool to win over the island's population. India is kicking off major drills in the Andaman Sea to sharpen military synergy. The exercise, codenamed Kavach or Shield, is being conducted at a time when India and China are locked in a border standoff in the eastern Ladakh theatre. India and the UAE are expected to take bilateral ties to the next level, with the two countries, along with France, discussing conducting trilateral military exercises. And members of the triumphant Indian cricket contingent, including stand-in skipper Ajinkya Rahane and coach Ravi Shastri, returned to the country this morning after their momentous Test Series victory over Australia. Mumbai Indian skipper Rohit Sharma said Lasith Malinga's presence will be missed around the squad as the pacer announced his retirement from franchise cricket. And while we are talking about sports, it was a walk in the park for PV Sindhu as she eased past Kisona Selvadarai of Malaysia in the second round of the Thailand Open Super 1000 tournament in Bangkok this morning. India will give millions of doses of COVID-19 vaccine to South Asian countries in the next few days. And it is as many as 150,000 doses of the vaccine that have reached Bhutan, while 100,000 have reached Maldives. Next is Bangladesh. And all this going on in the Vaccine Maitri initiative. Nepal Prime Minister Oli has thanked Prime Minister Modi and the people of India for the generous grant of 1 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. A major fire broke out at the Serum Institute of India's vaccine manufacturing plant in Pune. The blaze has killed 5 people, but not affected the institute's COVID vaccine manufacturing facility. India reporting over 15,000 new cases, with 151 deaths in the last 24 hours, and the casualties have remained below the 200 mark for the 7th straight day. Prime Minister Modi likely to get vaccinated against COVID-19 in the second round of the inoculation drive. And he will interact with beneficiaries and vaccinators of the vaccination drive in Varanasi tomorrow via video conferencing. Ahead of the forthcoming budget session of Parliament, opposition parties are likely to meet to decide whether they will attend the customary all-party meeting called Prime Minister Modi or not. Senior Shiromani Akali Dal leader and former MP Prem Singh Chandumaraja has said that the parties which have extended their support to the farmers' agitation will decide if they want to attend or boycott the meet over the ongoing protests against the farm laws. Prime Minister Modi will also address the Parakram Divas celebrations in Kolkata on the 23rd to commemorate the 125th birth anniversary of Subhash Chandra Bose. We do have 2 large cutouts, one of West Bengal Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee and another of her protege-turned-rival Suvendu Adhikari on the opposite side of a street in Nandigram, summing up the prevailing political mood of the area there. In a boost to the indigenous Hawkeye program, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited successfully test-fired a smart anti-airfield weapon from the Hawkeye aircraft off the coast of Odisha today. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has announced that China has promised to provide 500,000 doses of a coronavirus vaccine to Pakistan by the end of this month. He was addressing the media after a phone call with his Chinese counterpart and said China offered Islamabad to send an airplane and airlift the vaccines. Confirmed cases in Pakistan today stand at 527,146, while the number of deaths reported as of today 11,157. Prime Minister Imran Khan has called for an open trial in the foreign funding case and challenged the leadership of all opposition parties who have been criticizing the ruling PTI for illegal funds collection to face the proceedings also. And Yunus Khan was vocal in saying that he would have faced the PCB Cricket Committee, which grilled head coach Misbah-ul Haq and bowling coach Waqar Yunus in the wake of a disastrous tour